Hello, everyone. It's Ayla here. How's everyone doing today? Welcome to B Team Paranormal. Today I have a special guest, and when she comes into the room here, I will introduce you to her. Her name is Lisa, and um, I don't seem to see her in the back room here. Lisa, if you I'll if you can you come into stream? Are you on StreamYard? Can you come in, please? Anyhow, and the other thing I want to do is thank my very good friend Carolyn for the wonderful visit yesterday at her home. And we had like many investigations, and other people went to visit another location, and it was quite awesome. Lisa is a death doula, and she has been helping me and a lot of other people. So I will bring her on right now. Hello.
Hello.
Can you hear me, Lisa?
I can hear you. Can you hear me okay?
Oh, yes.
Oh, good.
How are you doing?
I'm doing really well, thanks.
Well, that's awesome. Um, I just wanted to say thank you for coming to my show, and I really appreciate you.
Oh, you're most welcome.
Now, a lot of people have asked me um, what a death doula is. And so, could you tell me a little bit about yourself and what a death doula is and does?
For sure. So, a death doula does a whole range of different jobs. And so, as a broad sense, what we do is help people prepare for end of life with a few different tools. And some of it is preparation, in, like making sure you have your paperwork in order, your will, your advanced care plan, um, sort of what your wishes are, especially if you have a terminal diagnosis and you know that you are going to be dying. I mean, we're all going to be dying, so it really
Mhm.
applies to everybody, right? Um,
Mhm.
and then beyond that, there is the opportunity to work with a death doula if you want to create a very specific ritual or ceremony um, as you pass, what you would like for who you leave behind, right? So any communications that you would like, um, and if there's like a piece of work that you have, a legacy that you want to leave behind, we can work on a legacy project. And then the final piece, I guess, is that we work with funeral home directors um, to sort of make sure the whole process goes as smoothly as possible, to make sure that once you have died, that all of your wishes are honored. And so we were able to communicate those conversations that we have with our clients, and then in turn have those conversations with the funeral director, um, yeah, to make sure that everything, yeah, is as you intended, right? And then there's one other piece that is, I guess, more my area that is developing, or I'm developing in, and that's called death cleaning. And so, what it involves is going to a person's house before they die and helping them edit through their belongings and possessions so that after they die, their family's not left with a whole bunch of stuff to work through. Which, if you've ever had to do that after somebody has died while you're grieving, is a really difficult task. So, it's sort of a gift that we can leave to the people that are left behind, is like give them the
Hmm.
space to grieve us without having to go through all of our stuff as well.
Well, that's interesting.
Yeah.
I've always I was surprised how I met you because yes, my adopted brother had passed away, and he was kind of helping me with things. And I asked my brother's spirit to please come and um, help me to find someone to help me, with all my stuff I need to do.
Yeah.
And then I was listening to Dying with Dignity, and I saw a post there about how to prepare all your papers and all that stuff, um and I wrote on there, well, it would be nice if I had someone to help me, like I was kind of being a smarty pants,
That's great.
because I was a little frustrated. And
Yeah.
then you sent me you told me who you were, and then we started talking after that, and then you came and helped me.
Yeah. Yeah, it did really feel like it was directed by spirit that that we connected. I'm not on Facebook that often, and so when I saw your post was like literally the first thing that came up in the whole thread. Somebody had been talking about dying, and you had posted that piece, and it was really lovely. And I was like, oh, I do that too. I do that kind of work, and how exciting! Here's somebody who needs my services. So
Yeah, I
yeah,
didn't even know what that existed. Like, I didn't know that existed.
no, and many people don't know this. So I feel very like I don't. I think as a profession, it hasn't been recognized for very long. Like there's a Canadian Association for Death Doulas or End of Life Care, and it hasn't been around very long. So there's not,
Mhm.
but there is. I think people are starting to be aware that it's out there. There's a lot of cities, Victoria included, host a death cafe where people can come and talk about death and all the questions they have. And I know death doulas that I went to school with participate in that, and so they're there also as a resource. Yeah.
Well, that's awesome. I just want to say hello to my friend Carol, who I was with yesterday.
Oh,
So just acknowledging her that she's here.
nice.
Um, yeah. So, what got you interested in become? Excuse me. What got you interested in becoming a death doula?
Well, there was a few things, and I think like the most pressing one was that um, I knew that my own mother was dying, and I just wanted to have some idea of how the process would go. I love to gather information, and I can turn almost anything into a special interest. And so as soon as I found out that she was likely going to pass within a year, I
Oh,
thought, what can I do to be the most present for her? And this course came up, and it came up. It came through an email, and it was the weirdest thing. I mean, this is on another, I guess, example of spirit working in funny ways. I applied for a job at Douglas College probably 15 years ago, and so I'm on their email list. And every now and then I would get emails about courses they were offering, and this email came through saying End of Life Doula course. And I thought, well, that sounds interesting and very timely. And so I went online and signed up for it. And I got the last seat in the course.
oh,
And
mm,
and it was being offered in Victoria, which for me was not like I had friends I could stay with in Victoria. And so it just everything worked out well. I didn't have to go to Vancouver, which is like, going to big cities not my favorite. Victoria is about as big as I like to get.
mm,
And so it all just like lined up so beautifully. And there's that, and then also I have not ever had like a fear of death. I'm just always been really curious about the process we go through when we die. And so this felt like a really natural fit.
oh, cool. Yeah. Um, I've also had remarks. Well, what does today's live stream, not from here, not from anybody in here, but just from talking to people,
Mm-hmm.
what does having this live stream have to do with, paranormal and stuff like that?
Ah,
And the I can answer that because as a medium and paranormal investigator, I've dealt with a lot of spirits that have unfinished business. Like some of them had cancer, or they were, unfortunately, I can't use that word on YouTube, but
Mhm.
their life was ended in a bad way.
Yeah.
And so a lot of times, um, they are trying to get the attention of their loved ones about their unfinished business.
Yeah.
Yep. Have well, uh, have you had any paranormal experiences from your work?
I, interestingly, because I'm working directly with people who are dying, I feel like I get like hmm, it's like a passenger seat in the process. And so I personally have had experiences um, with people as they're passing, even though I'm not with them, but I feel like I am with them in that transition period. So I can sometimes get chills or visions of a person passing. And I have not so much had like communication once they're on the other side, but definitely up to that point. And just seeing like those last moments and sort of what's happening in their being and the amount of peace and um, beauty that's involved in the process. It's really, yeah, it's not, I think, how our culture portrays death. And so
Mhm.
I think that's helpful because I can bring that into my work,
Excuse me.
really be able to understand that there is, I believe personally, that there is a lot beyond death.
Mhm.
So I don't, I don't think my job is the end of the line for people. I think I'm delivering them to the next place. And that's, it's really helpful in that sense. And so I would love to like connect with mediums. Like I feel like it's a natural progression for me to be connecting, say, with you um, in this life as we are, and as you're my client after you die, assuming you die before me, um, that you will be able to bring me messages. And so yeah, I really believe that that's also like a part of death doula work that can emerge still, or even that I could work with mediums and then help families as well, or loved ones that are left behind. If I can direct them to somebody who has those talents and skills and gifts, then I can, it's just another resource that can help them and give them some peace if they know that that connection is still open. Right?
Yeah, I I really um am glad that you're such a comfort to people. I know you're a comfort to me when you were helping me because I was so frustrated. I
Yeah.
didn't. I'm not good with papers, and stuff, and you helping me. I still have some things to do,
Mhm.
like my last wishes and things. I'm kind of stuck there right now, because of my trouble I have sometimes with my words and things.
Mhm.
Like we did our will, we did my will, but I'm still have to do my last wishes, and so
Yeah, we hear a lot of your medical, like your medical wishes, your sort of that's part of the advanced care plan. It's just sort of like, yeah,
yeah, yeah, hmm
yeah,
um,
but yeah, and those are sometimes the hardest things to do, the really personal parts, right? The parts about what your last wishes are. Um, it's not something that we talk about with people that much. So, and that's where having a connection to somebody on the other side can be really helpful. right?
Yeah.
You can even ask them, what do you wish you had done differently, or what, if you were in my shoes, what direction could you give me, or inspiration?
Yeah, I had one spirit who was who passed away in a bad way. And he said he wished he had listened to his family about the people he was hanging around with.
Mhm.
That sort of thing, right?
Yeah,
Like, kind of felt bad for hurting his family, but
yeah,
they told him they forgave him and everything. So that was pretty awesome session.
hmm yeah,
I did with the family. Yeah. So yeah, it's an interesting topic. Like here in Victoria, BC, Canada, in case there's some of my American friends listening. We also have the the MAID program, the medical assisted and dying program
yes,
here too. So a lot of people have option for that. Well, like if they have Alzheimer's or a terminal cancer where they don't, you know, where they don't want to be on a machine and stuff like what I'm getting at and
yeah,
um,
yeah. I recently had a friend pass with the assistance maid, and he had ALS and
yeah.
incredible pain and was deteriorating quickly, but it was still, his prognosis was still 6 months to a year, and he'd already been in an excruciating amount of pain for months. And to know that the last year of his life could just be this unbelievable pain, it was so much more of a compassionate choice for him to be like, I you know while I can still express love and be acceptance, then
Mm-hmm.
and had a beautiful last day. So
Oh, that's awesome.
yeah,
Yeah, for me, I just want to go. I'm just going day by day, kind of thing right now. You know,
yeah,
uh, recently diagnosed with something else, but I won't say it over the air. So I'm having a lot of pain from that now. And of course, the other thing that's going on with my lungs. And, um, sometimes it's frustrating because you don't have a lot of doctors that listen to you
yes, it's
or
very true.
how you're feeling, like it's our body. And I think we know how we feel.
Yes, exactly.
Mhm.
Yeah,
And you
yeah,
get kind of shoved under the bus if you get my idea. Like,
yes, yeah. You
'cause-
have to be like a good advocate for yourself, and yeah, it's unfortunate in many ways that our system does not take in emotional distress, um, which can be a result of physical, or even just the idea of progressive physical pain.
yeah, what I would like to do. Is it okay if I invite my friend Carol to come up and talk to us?
Yeah, that would be great.
Yeah, I have to figure out how to put the thing in the chat, okay? So just
Okay.
bear with me there one second. Mm, Let's see if I do it right, okay? No, that didn't. Okay, good. I don't know how to delete it now. Oh, there. Maybe. Okay. So, do you have any other stories you can share with me about your experiences? Do you work with children too?
I have not had any children clients. Um, I would certainly be open to it for sure, and then that becomes like a much more of a whole family. Yeah.
Hmm.
I did have this year. I took my kids to Ireland, and I was talking there to relatives of mine about what I do, and they were so surprised. They'd never heard of a death doula. And in Irish Catholic culture, they actually have quite a lot of ritual around death. And but they were just absolutely confused as to why you would need anybody to do this stuff, and which made me wonder. And I still wonder, do they have a completely different process in their culture for death? And I mean, here there's like such a bureaucratic mess when somebody dies, and especially if they die without a will, which was in my mother's case. Um, when I told her I was taking this course and that I could help her prepare, her first response was, "Well, that's weird." She didn't want to talk. And because she was so staunchly Irish Catholic, her idea was that if we talked about death, it would bring death closer and it would happen sooner. And she wanted nothing to do with that. She was like, I am absolutely not dying. And so as a result, she wouldn't sign any power of attorney, any will, nothing. And so she died in May of this year, of 2024, and I'm still going through the process. And I know the system fairly well, but it's just a long, slow, bureaucratic system. There's all of these forms that you have to send in to search to make sure that there was never a registered will, and then you have to get what's called the grant of administration, a letter that will allow the bank to transfer her assets so that we can pay out her bills and pay her taxes and all of those things. And then we have to go and do all of those things. And it takes about a year to work through this whole system. And it's incredibly frustrating, I think, for people, especially when they're grieving, to have to navigate through all this stuff. So the amount of it we can do ahead of time is, I mean, it's just so incredibly helpful, right? And so it really does give the people that we leave behind an opportunity to grieve us in a way that is not stressful.
Mm-hmm. Okay, Carol, you should be able to click on that little link there. Um, see if I can get you to join this if you want to ask questions. Well, I'm really sorry about your mother, and has she visited you?
She has in a few dreams, um,
No.
usually in the dreams, she's still quite insistent that she's not dying. So,
Oh,
she'll be sitting in her care home where she was when she died, sitting in a chair looking outside, like waiting for us to come and visit her. And also insistent that she's not dead. So, yeah.
Oh, that's still kind of sad though, in a way, isn't it?
Yeah. Yeah, so I'm trying to, in my dreams, like, ask her what it is that she wanted in this life that hasn't, that she hasn't completed. And I don't have an answer yet, but I'm curious.
Well, there's been people that have said their elders there do visit them in dreams even before they died, because of their terminal illness or whatever. Like if they're in a coma or they have dementia, or like I don't know if they're astral traveling or what they're doing, but I have heard of that.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. That's why I asked you too, because I wasn't sure.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
No. So, do you work with hospice too? And what's that other one? Hospice, and there's another one. I can't remember the name. I'm sorry.
No, yeah. I don't work with hospice. Um, there was a period when I was finishing my Death Doula training, and we were still fairly fresh out of like things opening up. I think it was the first in-person course I had attended, so it was, I think, January of 2021. Um, And at the time, and I'm not sure if this is still the case, but you could not work with hospice if you weren't vaccinated.
Oh,
And
yeah. Mm-hmm.
that was a hard line for me.
Yeah.
So
Mm-hmm.
I just chose to continue doing my work the way I was. And it was frustrating in a way because I thought, we're working with people who are dying. They are already dying in the active stages of dying, especially if they're in hospice. So whether
Mm-hmm.
you bring COVID to them or not, they're still dying. So it was,
Yeah.
on principle, on a lot of, a whole myriad of reasons. But um, yeah, so I never did do training through hospice, and I don't, as a result, work through their system. Um,
No.
hospice,
Yeah.
hospice is an amazing resource. Um, they do incredible work, and I have
Mm-hmm.
great respect for what they do. It just, for me, was personally not for me. So
Yeah. Yeah. Like, my friend's mother was in a hospice, and her daughter wasn't allowed to see her because she couldn't have the vaccine because she has reactions to vaccines. Like,
yeah,
this is a real medical condition.
yeah,
And they still wouldn't allow, even though she had a note. And everybody else went in and seen her, but she had to stay in the hall. And her mother died when she was in
mm-hmm.
the hallway, which I find very sad
Very sad. Yeah,
because they're dying and they don't, they're not worried about catching any, like for me, I'm not, I
yeah,
know it sounds silly, but
yeah,
wouldn't be worried about catching anything if I'm on my deathbed, you know what I mean?
exactly. Yeah,
I know
yeah.
a lot of people don't understand, but there were a lot of people that went through that.
Oh yeah, and there was, and legitimately there was people dying in the beginning. You know, when we had, the first waves of COVID, it was, you know, nobody knew what was happening, and
Mhm.
there was, yeah, some terrible deaths. And so, I have great compassion for the families that went through that as well. Yeah, and the fear, just the general fear that it brought up in the public.
Yes, yeah, it was. Yeah, so I really enjoyed doing this with you. I hope that I've covered everything I should. I'm very curious about things,
Yeah,
and I want other people to know because for me, when my adopted brother died, we weren't prepared for anything because it
yeah,
was so sudden, and we didn't know where his papers were. We didn't know what his wishes.
yeah,
And I just know how important that is for people to know that. Like,
yeah,
even if you're not dying or have a terminal illness, or it's important to get to do that because then your family will know what your wishes are.
exactly. And like I said, we are all dying. Every single one of us will die. So
Mhm.
there's nobody who this doesn't apply to. And there are great resources if you're in BC. The BC government website has the advanced care planning guide right on. Like, you can get a digital copy, or even at your doctor's office or any walk-in clinic, you can get a copy, like a paper copy, and then sit down and go through it, or have somebody in your family sit down and go through it with you, um, or hire a death doula to go through it with you. There's death cafes, like I said, which are advertised. Usually, information you can find from hospice. Hospice is also an amazing resource. Um, the Canadian End of Life Care Association. Yeah, there's lots of great resources out there. And even,
Mhm.
even if you're just writing in a journal, like, just some pages somewhere where you can find it, what your wishes are, it can give some direction, and ease for them trying to make decisions for you, which, is a terrible position to be in because they don't know what you want. And so then they're making the decisions from an emotional place. Yeah.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, it can be quite emotional, believe me.
Yeah.
Yeah, I lost 3 friends this year, like lost when Steve died, and then
Mm.
I lost 2 more friends after that. So it
Yeah.
was quite emotional, for me,
Yeah.
too. So
It is. It is very hard. It's like one of the hardest things we do because we love so much, and then to lose that, grief is. I've heard it said that grief is, love with no place to go, and so grief is a beautiful thing, but it's also, requires the space and ability to process it. So,
yeah, and it's also hard when people say to you, "Oh, get over it," they're in a
it's
better place and all this, and that kind of hurts me a little too, because um, they're in your heart.
great. Your
Like,
heart is still breaking.
yeah, like it's been almost 2 years, but I'm still, like it was yesterday. And the same as my niece in 2006. It still, to me, is still raw. Like
Yeah.
she was yesterday. You know what I mean? Like, so, and as a medium, sometimes it's hard for us too.
Yes.
We even want to, like, we want to communicate with them, but we sometimes feel we're being disrespectful or, which I know we're not, but sometimes you feel that way, like, I disrespecting my brother.
Yeah. Well, and you're also open to a lot of energies of other things that might want to come through that you don't even know. Like, you know, there are sometimes people that will come to you that want something to express. They're like, here's an open channel. I'm going to come through this way. And, like good practices for you about how to manage your own energy, right?
Yeah, and the other thing I forgot to mention is people with disabilities too, right? Like I have disabilities, and a lot of times it's hard for us to find people to talk to about things, about what we want done, and stuff like that. Um,
Yes.
and I think because I don't have any family really, so I can't go to them, but I think there's a lot of people with disabilities that could use help like this from their loved ones to say, what do you really want if something happens to you? Like, I
Mm-hmm.
know it's a tough topic to talk about with your family member that's disabled,
Yeah.
but even if they have a bit of mental disability or, I think it's important, you know, to talk to them about what they want.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, I've already got my gravestone, I've got the way I want it, not what my family member wants to put on it.
Right.
Like,
Yeah.
bring some joy to them, right? And, you know, I have an older son who's disabled, so I don't, and he's like a younger person, even though he's in his 40s. So
Yeah.
I don't know what he would want. I'm not really able to see him, but, I hope he's getting, you know, someone to listen to him,
Mm-hmm.
stuff. I worry of thinking about disabled people a lot.
Yeah. Yeah.
Because
There's
sometimes,
big gaps in our system.
yeah, 'cause sometimes they're just put in places and forgotten about.
Yes. Yeah. Exactly. Yeah. There's definitely room out in our world for more advocates and for, yeah, some sort of agency or nonprofit to come and do that work.
Yeah, and the street people too, there's a lot of homeless
Yeah.
people that, might have want to talk to someone about things, like who knows?
Yeah.
I think your work is very important.
Yeah. Sometimes I wish there could be more of me so I could take on some of those other projects as well. But I do know that somewhere out there, it's somebody's life's work, right? And and hopefully they get inspired to
Oh,
come.
My friend Carol's here. Just a minute. We gotta get up closer. Excuse me, people. I can't see this. My friend Carol's here. Carol. We gotta
Hi.
get up closer. Excuse me, people. Can you hear me, Carol?
Hello.
Carol, can you hear me?
Hi. Thank you for doing this, Lisa.
You got the TV on?
That's so good. Can you hear me?
Yeah, have you got a TV on or something in the background?
So good. The TV seems to be on a different.
Have you got a
I
TV on?
got a TV on. I'll be right back.
Okay. Because she's getting that echo thing that we got. Sorry about that, Lisa.
Oh, that's okay.
I'm still learning this thing
Sorry
too.
about that. I've not used Zoom before, so.
That's better
Can
now.
you
Yeah.
hear me?
Yeah. Can you see me
I can
okay?
hear you.
Okay. Do you have any questions for our friend here, Lisa? Or you want to ask her something or chit
Okay,
chat?
now I can't hear you, so I don't know what's
Uh-oh.
Can
Can
maybe
you
I
hear
can
me?
just talk about something that I wanted to talk about.
Yeah.
Fine, yeah. I really don't have too much to say about death. The only thing that I've experienced with it is I had a near-death experience when I was a child, and I was 9 years old, and I went swimming with my sister, and we're playing on the board, and she went down into the water, and I saw her struggling in the water, and I jumped in after her, and she was going down, and I went down, and I didn't resist anything that was going on around me. And I think that's why it wasn't a bad experience for me. It was like a positive experience because I just inhaled the water and just went with what was happening. And I went unconscious, and I just started going through a tunnel, just as they say. And I was seeing black sort of beside me with little tiny sparkles of light. And as I went along shooting down this tunnel, I thought it was going on forever, and I thought it was never going to end. And it kind of reminded me of birth, when you go through birth. And so I was just at the point of desperation, thinking that this is going to be life. This is going to be the rest of it. This is all that's going to happen ever. I'm going to see sparkles around me, and I'm going to travel for eternity this way. And then at that moment, when the hopelessness was right there, then light came out to me, and it was far away, and I came closer closer to this light, and then it was opened up, and I just felt this great relief coming off of me. And as I was in this sort of realm, I guess is what it was, I saw these great white tall beings that you couldn't see their faces. And there were 3 or 4 of them, and they just radiated love. The whole thing radiated love, and it was just more than you could ever feel. And so, because I was 9, they said to me, "It's not your time. You have things to do, but we will allow you to ask one question." And I thought in my little 9-year-old mind, okay, what do I want to know? And I thought, okay, the biggest question I could think of at the time was, what is the meaning of life? And the beings were telepathic, and they just radiated love. They said love, and that's it. And then that was it. I was shooting back into my body. My stepbrother was pulling me out was grabbing me and pulling me out from the water. The heaviness of the body returned, and I was back into my body, and turned to my sister, and I said, "I love you," and she said, "I know." And off we went together. So that's my near-death experience. So if it continues, and if it's the same kind of experience again, then it's great. It's amazing. So just wanted to share that kind of with you. I can't
Thank
hear you,
you.
so
Thank you very much for. Oops. Can you hear me, Carol?
going to turn you back on the TV.
Can you hear me?
I think she said it's something that she was streaming through her TV or something. So maybe that was, we could hear you on the.
We'll have to get her a speaker or something. Maybe she doesn't have a speaker or something.
Or her computer side connected.
Yeah. I'm still trying to learn a lot about StreamYard and how it works. Can you hear me now? Oh, she left. Oh.
Well,
Well, that was interesting. Excuse me. That was a very interesting story, eh, Lisa?
Yeah, I really appreciate her sharing that. I have a special heart for people and their near-death experience stories. I think they're really.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, it's amazing the similarities between them, and yeah, I mean it really does show the fear in death, right?
Yeah, there's a hospice worker on YouTube. I got her name at the moment, but she has had clients raise their hand up and they're seeing their loved ones come to get them, and it's just an amazing thing, you know.
Yeah.
Experience for her, like, you know, she's had a lot of. I think her name is Julie or something, but yeah, I would play her video, but you know, I'd have to go by YouTube rules, of course. But she's had some paranormal experiences too.
I bet. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, this has been.
I said I don't think you can do this kind of work without having any.
Yeah. Thank you so much for sharing, Carol. We really appreciate that. If you're listening. And I really appreciate you coming today and chatting with me. Do you have anything else you want to add, or?
No, nothing else that I can think of.
So maybe I can have you on again and you can share some of those stories that you were just mentioning.
For sure, yeah, that would be great.
I'm trying to figure out how to make you a little bigger on there. I'm trying to figure it out.
I'll get closer to the camera. Yes. Well, thank you so much for having me. It's lovely to be able to come on and talk about what I do.
And we all send you lots of blessings, and if there's any information you want me to share, I can put it in the description after if you like. If you send me in your messenger thing.
Okay. I'll figure out how. Oh, there we are. Chat. Maybe I can send it in the chat. Technology is not my strong suit either. So.
What's that, dear?
I said technology is not my strong suit either.
All right, you can send it in. Just send it to me the way we normally communicate, if you like.
Okay.
And then I'll put it in the description later.
Yeah, there.
Okay.
So I added a little thing in the chat there. That's just my Instagram.
Oh.
If people want to find me on Instagram.
Yeah. Oh, Instagram. Okay. All right. Well, thank you so much. I love you, and I send you lots of hugs and many blessings.
Thank you. I send them.
Take care, my friend.
All right. We'll see you soon.
See ya. Well, that was really awesome. I hope she answered some questions for you. And if anybody had any who's enjoying the live stream here, so I will put her information that she wants to share in the description later. And you all have a nice, wonderful day. And I love you all. And like, share, and subscribe. Have a blessed day. See you later.